What's good? What's good? What's good? Thank you guys for joining the Voice of the Fans podcast. Thank you once again for hitting us up. Cleveland, what's good with you up in the Northwest?
Oh man, we're thawing out. I think it was a crisp 53 today, man. Kind of balmy,
Oh wow.
little sunshine. All the snow melting, and feels kind of back to normal. It
Back to
wasn't not an
normal, huh?
overcast day, so we were happy.
Back to oh wow. You were happy. It was about 76 down here
That's
today,
cool.
actually. It was about a little balmy,
I
so
didn't ask you about your temperature down there. That's
and
cool.
I just want to let you know.
I just want
But
to
I
let me
see,
know.
yeah, fans, we got a lot to get into this week, man. We got to talk about a lot of the NBA, Ja Morant's takeover of the NBA. We're going to talk about Steph Curry. Did you hear what Steph said? Did you hear what Steph just recently said about the '96 Bulls? The
Said
two.
they would beat them in six.
Ooh,
Yeah.
we got to get into that one. I
Mm,
mean, we got to see what you really think about that one, fans.
mm.
And then we got the NFL playoffs. Oh boy, and there was the NFL is tricky. The NFL, Vegas, the point line, all that stuff is real tricky, icky, because the final game of the season, these two teams, they flex these two teams, and it happened to go in overtime. What? Come on, man! What is this conglomerate, man? It got us all fooled, Cleveland. Is there conspiracy theories on this?
No, man, you can't predict that kind of thing. You can't predict that type of outcome. It's stranger than fiction, right?
Vegas is predicting it. It was a 3-point game.
Vegas can predict the point spread, but not the way the eventual outcome unfolds. That was just completely
Woo,
totally ridiculous.
woo.
A debacle on one team that is building a culture and changing the
Oh,
world. We'll get that a little bit, hopefully too.
oh.
Hopefully we get that a little bit too. Can we get to that one too?
You look excited.
I'm just hoping. I'm just waiting. I mean, if it's on the schedule, that's cool. If it's not, then I understand why it's not. But
We gonna talk about the NFL playoffs, man, and
okay,
what impacted it, man. Out of
just the teams that are in, or the teams that unfortunately didn't make it for whatever vicarious reasons. Are we gonna do both?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna do what you want to do, man. Whatever makes you happy over
I
there.
mean, I mean,
And
whatever the show allows, it's fine.
I mean, and then you see, we also, fan. We're gonna get back to what Cleveland's gear. What's I'm a little appalled right now. I'm a little insulted, in fact, but it's his choice of gear today. But we're gonna get into that also. We're gonna talk about this week in history as always. Um, fans, so get comfortable, sit back, and let's do this. We also want to shout out to the guys from H&B Media for doing their thing. Check them out, H&B Media TV on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, H&B Media TV. Clickbait guys, check them out. Check them out. They always got a lot of clickbait for y'all. Cleveland is January 12th, 2022. Is week 174, Cleveland. When you think of the number 12, I mean, there's a lot of things to choose from, a lot of people to choose from. When you think of the number 12, who comes to your mind first, or who wore that number the best?
Well, being that I'm from the 206, the people that come to mind first are the 12s, the supporters of the Seahawks over all these years, since the number was
What,
retired. I mean,
since 2012?
at
Is
any
it,
rate, since the
is
number
it-
was retired, the number 12, is speaks to the fans and the ones that support the Seahawks through thick and thin. Who wore it best? Terry Bradshaw with the 4 rings. I'm pretty sure.
so I'm interested to hear your opinion. I'm interested to hear your opinion on this. And in fact, I pretty already know it, but we're about to have this debate right now. A person like you who only looks in the record books. First, it's interesting that he doesn't want to look at statistics until it comes to record books and deciding whether how good you are, how good one player is versus another player, and then he wants to look at the record books to see how many Super Bowls he won. won or NBA championships. That's very interesting that you want to choose that specific time to look at the record books and history of events versus any other time. But when you have a player who led his team to 4 AFC championships
in a row.
Nobody's because consecutively. You're absolutely right. Nobody's ever done that. No one hasn't been done before. Hasn't been done before. Hasn't been done since. 4 AFC championships. Excuse me, fans.
Get it straight, Cam. If you're going to make the point, 4 Super Bowl appearances in a row.
I mean, well, you win the AFC Championship, you go to the Super Bowl. I mean, everybody should really know that. But
when you said the AFC Championship, it somewhat diminishes what the accomplishment is.
No, not at all. Again, that's a champion. That's in the champion. That's LeBron
type championship, stuff, right? It's LeBron type stuff.
With you, well, again, I didn't say LeBron, but when you go in a sport again with free agency, all the turmoil, all the ups and downs that you can possibly go through. And this one guy leads his team. And a lot of people want to credit him for being the master of the K-gun and the 2-minute offense. He wasn't, but I mean, he ran it pretty good. But you would say he's not he's not Hall of Fame worthy. He's not among the best quarterbacks to get it done?
I said nothing of the sort. The question was, who was the first person that comes to mind and who wore it best?
No. Well, yes, I got your opinion. You say you go with Terry Bradshaw, but when you say Terry Bradshaw, you're gonna say he won 4 Super Bowls in a row. You're gonna match my 4 AFC championships with 4 Super Bowls. I did
not say 4 Super Bowls in a row. I said he won 4 Super Bowls.
Excuse me. Yeah, you're gonna match him with 4 Super Bowls, right? Well, was Terry Bradshaw as crucial and critical to the Pittsburgh Steelers in that first and second Super Bowl as Jim Kelly was in all of their Super Bowl appearances?
Oh, for sure. I mean, Terry Bradshaw was the quarterback, the architect of everything went down there. So,
oh my goodness,
all
right, fan. We're gonna keep this going on. Clearly, Cleveland. I mean, I know you was in diapers out there going to Newport High School, but I know you was in diapers watching Terry Bradshaw. You probably didn't know what was going on. So we're gonna move right along past that, friends. We're gonna move right along past that. The number 74. Manu Tuiapusopo is the first guy that come to my mind when I think of the number 74. Obviously, Merlin Orsons and Bruce Matthews are come shortly thereafter. But Manu Tuiapusopo, I mean, he was like a living legend in Seattle at the time, right? Early 80s.
Very true. Father of Marcus Tuiapusopo. So yeah, and Zach as well. So yeah, lineage is it's quite extraordinary here in the 206 as far as what Manu was be able to do. It's weird. The first person that came to my mind was Fred Dean. I don't know why. The dominator down there with the Niners. It was like, I just remember the Dean in the 74. It was a little bit unusual being on that defense and, accomplishing what they did. And like you're saying, previously, I think Merlin Olsen probably wore the best. One of the members of the Fearsome Foursome. So, Hall of Famer.
Hall of Fame. There you go. Well, Cleveland, that leads us right into our NFL topics. And obviously, before we get to our predictions, we'd like to do a review of what happened last week.
Okay.
The Steelers beat the Ravens to sneak into the playoffs.
Did you send Mike Tomlin an apology letter, apology text, email, or anything?
No, we're not on speaking terms.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You guys aren't.
You heard his response to what I had to say. Mike and R ain't really talking about it.
He doesn't like you. I forgot. for various reasons. I forgot. So no need to reach out. I feel you. I feel on that.
Okay, let's have this conversation. what's been the last 4 games we haven't seen the MVP of the league? Some say the most exciting player in the NFL. Some would say, and Lamar Jackson. I mean, was his ankle broke? I'm but I don't know. Like they said, a sprained ankle, right? It's been 4 weeks, I think, 3 or 4 weeks. What what what's your thoughts on this situation? Is this am I looking too deep in this?
You are, I mean, given the fact that they were decimated by injury and would do any and everything they could to get a player of the caliber of Lamar Jackson on the field, um, whether it's intravenous, whatever, 24 hours a day, whether it's hyperbolic chamber, whatever this injury was, this was not going to heal in the timeline that they needed. So it's unfortunate that's the way it went down, but on the flip side, it really kind of contributes to his value going forward, right? And kind of what people think of him, whether they think he does this too much or not enough of that or not that well enough. Man, you can see the difference in this team when he's not there firsthand. So,
well, nobody questioned his ability and that he's a good player
oh,
or
sure,
not,
people
but
question his ability to throw the ball. I'm one of those guys. People question his ability to stay
fair enough,
healthy.
fair enough.
I was one of those guys, and now you see all those things kind of come to fruition. But at the same time, you see when he's out of that offense or away from that team, they're average, less than average.
Well, yeah, because they built the team around him. But yeah, I'm questioning his. I don't want to say will to win, but his will to play. Like again, they said spring. They say sprain ankle. Sprain ankle. Like we all play with a
Oh,
sprain
so you're
ankle.
questioning his toughness, his durability.
That's what I'm questioning right now.
I see. I see. So you're saying a
Did
sprained
somebody
ankle should not be enough to keep you out of 4 games. Oh,
not
I
when
see.
you
I see the direction they're going.
not when you got playoffs on the line.
Right.
Not the okay game
So
one.
he just doesn't have the toughness or the will or desire to be out there.
And
That's
that's what I
what
don't
you're
know.
questioning.
That's what I don't know.
Okay.
It
That's
seemed
what you're
pretty
questioning.
peculiar. It seemed pretty peculiar to me. Like
Okay.
here at the heart of the season, like right when the going gets tough, you're done. Like
Yeah. Like Derwin James with his pads on, just kind of standing around. I feel
like
you.
I mean, no, that's total different situation. But
Oh,
we'll
was it?
get to that. I mean, I don't know what you're even
I
referring
thought you
to.
questioned it in the same
I,
way, but
I
that's weird. Okay. Mhm.
well, you have to explain to me that situation where Derwin James was in, where he's standing there and the game's going on, he's not in the game. I mean, we're gonna have to have that conversation. But right now, we're talking about how the Ravens quarterback just, I think, kind of let his team down this season.
I don't
No,
think so.
in 4 games, okay, 1 game, okay, you arrest him. 2 weeks, that's 2 weeks of NFL um tendership. I mean, medical opportunities, medical facilities, all that you have access to in an NFL facility, medical wise. In 2 weeks, you don't have an ankle ready to play. Come on, that's you're not tell me it's broke. Then don't tell me it's sprained. Don't tell me it's a sprained ankle. I mean, that's tell me it's broke
Just don't
because
lie to you about it. Okay.
if it's a broken ankle, I don't know, get down. But you clearly, as you mentioned, the team needed him, and he wasn't there for the team, and their division rivals sneak into the playoffs.
He is no Jack Youngblood, is he? He's no Ronnie Lott, that's for sure.
Jonathan Taylor. What is it? Darius Leonard were not enough to get the Indianapolis Colts into the playoffs as they choke against the Jacksonville Jaguars. What? Carson Wentz? Is this Carson Wentz pissing on himself again?
Well, I mean, I think you and I and Eric had this conversation a few weeks back, right? And we kind of predicted this, right?
This is what well, we see what happened. Did not get them in the playoffs against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Unbelievable. It was so unbelievable, Cam. Little sidebar. I actually wasn't watching this game, right? But the way the score was going, I was like, oh, I don't remember the Indianapolis Colts being in the playoffs without having to win this game. So,
Right.
so they're not pulling their starters, right? Or maybe I got it wrong. Maybe they're already in the playoffs and they don't need to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars to get in. Like, oh, okay. I just kind of left it at that. Like, I didn't even like, why is this a game? Like, why is this looking like this? And the whole thing, and I saw the other teams, right, that were already in, like, they weren't even playing their starters. I'm like, oh, okay. Maybe I just did the math wrong and didn't, understand what was going on. But it was like, just kept going on. I'm like, whoa. Yeah, that's inexcusable to lose the last two games to the Raiders and the Jacksonville Jaguars. You only have to win one to get in the playoffs.
I mean, their season was kind of hocus pocus too, as their first win was against the Dolphins, and then they got on a little run there.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the Dolphins, why are you wearing a Dan Marino shirt today? And NFL season's over. It's playoff time, and the Miami Dolphins didn't make the playoffs. Why are you wearing a jersey today?
Well, I mean, it's in tribute to, salute to everything that Coach Floyd's tried to embody within the Dolphins in the short time that he was there, and the impact that he had on them. And from the people that I've talked to in 305, I mean, they're all kind of feeling kind of heartbroken, like not understanding what the billionaire is doing with the team. Sometimes they're the right people are always in control, and these kind of things happen. I mean, they're 9-8. It's not like they were 6-11. They fought themselves out of the wilderness to get within striking distance of the playoffs, man. And then in the last game of the season, he beats the Jizza, the genius Bill Belichick. He's one of Bill's disciples. Bill never loses to disciples in the same way that Nick Saban never loses to his disciples. I mean, what else could he do? I felt that he got the short end of the stick, a raw deal. A lot of my brethren down there in the 305 feel the same way.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Are you sure about that, Cleveland? Because let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
I'm sure about that. And I've reached out to a few people that know Dan personally, and we're like, man, Dan's kind of heartbroken about this.
Cleveland. So did I not last week?
Just so that people know what Dan feels about it, and fans. I don't know if you know this, right? Cam left the Miami Dolphins like out in the middle of the street, right? Jumped on this other bandwagon, right? And I was just like, wow, that's wrong, man. I feel sorry for you guys. And in the same way that Cam has been a fan of the Miami Dolphins since this dude was patrolling the sidelines.
So before that dude was patrolling the sidelines.
So was I. So when I saw him like that, I just had to reach out, put my arms around him, embrace him, bring him close. Be like, hey man, it's all right, man. It's all right that dude did you like that, man. It's all right that dude did you like that, man. Just kind of nurse him back to health. The 7-game winning streak, that was right on the cusp.
Okay. Are you finished? Because I got something to say.
Go ahead.
I got something to say. So the team is 1-7, right? 1-7, first 2 months in the season. This is your third year as a head coach. Third season as a head coach. There's no way you start off at 1-7, man. There's no way you start off at 1-7. The teams you're playing, mind you, you have been together for 2.5 seasons, and this is your third season of training camp together, albeit COVID. Everybody's dealing with that, so that's really not an excuse because everybody's dealing with the Zoom meetings over for practice and limited team access, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, you're trying to integrate a new quarterback on your team. You got two different. First, you flip flop between a veteran Fitzpatrick and Tua, the young guy. Then you have the next season. You start off with the two offensive coordinators, a run game coordinator, a pass game coordinator for the young guy who's still trying to learn one system. Now you got two systems for him to try to learn. Meanwhile, you this is a pattern. You start off slow, then you finish strong at the end when everybody forgot about what you're doing. Cleveland, this is the first time that you heard this from me. This is not the first time you heard this from me. This is why I told you there's a ban on talking about the Dolphins after they were 1-7. Because there's a pattern. So then you New England Patriots, you beat the Patriots, you lose to the Bills, you play the Raiders, you lose to the Raiders in overtime. You lose to the Indianapolis Colts, who were 0-4 at the time. Okay. The Buccaneers, you lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars, you lose to the Atlanta Falcons, and Buffalo again. So Atlanta.
So wait, I'm sorry. So 5 of those losses were playoff teams. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying Atlanta, Jacksonville, the Colts.
I'm sorry, the Colts just barely missed the playoffs. Who were those other teams?
We're not playoff teams.
You said the Patriots twice, the Buccaneers. Okay. And who else?
The Buccaneers, the Raiders, the Bills.
The Raiders. So they were also in the playoffs, thanks to come from behind. Fantastic victory against some other team we'll talk about in a little bit. But so 4 playoff teams?
Yeah, four playoff teams.
Man,
well, what?
So lots of 4 playoff teams.
Oh, and you can't beat one of them.
And what? You make it seem like they're so shameful for losing to 4 playoff teams.
But they also lost to 4 teams that weren't in the playoffs.
No, they also lost to Jacksonville Jaguars,
Atlanta Falcons,
and the Indianapolis Colts.
Exactly. Okay. Well, so they beat Houston.
Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay. And who they just beat?
They beat Houston. They beat the fragile Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. Surprise the world. They beat the
I'm sorry, Cam. Maybe you don't understand this. You don't critique the team that they're beating when they beat NFL teams. They're all professional grown-ass men.
Oh, so what do I critique?
You don't critique who's on the schedule.
Beat the
Jets. Win the games that are on the schedule.
They beat the Jets. They beat the Panthers. They beat the Giants. They beat the Jets again. All these are non-NFL teams. So they beat 4 non-playoff teams. They beat them all in a row. And then they did beat along that run. They did beat the Houston Texans, who's not a playoff team. So that's 5 playoff teams they played, and they beat the Baltimore Ravens. So 1 out of 5 teams that made the playoffs, who you want to give them credit for, 1 of 6 teams that you want to made the playoffs. They beat that team and beat 6 other teams that did not make the playoffs. So that while you and the rest of the NFL was getting excited,
did they beat the Jizza Genius in that last game?
In the last game, that they did. Yes, they beat the.
Just want to throw that out there because I know how you are about coaching and how coaching.
They beat the Saints. Okay, and then a chance to win and get in. You win this game against the Tennessee Titans.
They had to win them both, but I see where you're going with this. Sure.
Yeah.
And as I explained last week, they were just emotionally and psychologically exhausted from what they were trying to go through.
Third year,
like yourself jumping off the bandwagon when they thought that these were like people that would had supported them for decades over and over again, and now all of a sudden nowhere to be found.
No, in his third year,
and that's when I came in scooping them up, fans. That's when I came in put my arm around it.
So all this time he liked Tua. And they beat it. I'm not surprised, Cleveland. I told you last week. Fans, if you guys see my script every week, I put out a script I emailed to Cleveland. Here's some topics for us to talk about. Did I not last week put him in the hot seat last week? Now, I didn't know the man was going to get fired. I didn't know he's in there pissing everybody off in the office. I didn't know that. He is a former linebacker who just don't know how to talk to people. He just deal with people. He knows the game, sure, but if you can't communicate to people how you want your vision, what your vision is, I mean, you could be as you can't be the same linebacker coach on the field as you are in the office, and you just can't be pissing everybody off, right? You got to make friends with somebody in the office, and then most definitely somebody who has an ear to the owner. You got to kind of be that guy's friend as much as you may have to hate him or not, right? They're friends of the billionaire. You kind of gotta you gotta make some kind of friends with that guy, right? Yeah, at least be cordial. At least talk about a Sunday you guys had together, and if that was 3 months ago, you got to do that again or whatever. So Cleveland, I'm not surprised. I told you last week I've been telling you there's issues. I've been telling you there's issues. Now, the apparently there was a power struggle between him and Chris Greer, who I wanted them to these 3 men of color running the show for the Dolphins. I really wanted them to do well because there's not, as you know, not a lot of blacks in the front office of NFL teams, or men of color in the front office of NFL teams. Let's say that. So I wanted them all to do well, to be successful. Not only because I've been a Dolphin fan since the early 80s, but it would be a good luck on our people that they did well when given opportunity. So I wanted them to do well. And I still wish Brian Flores the best. But a head coach, he probably not. And he got to learn, work on his people skills. And if you wanted to start a culture, and you got to lead with some players who's going to take the team, and the team is going to follow them. You can't get rid of those players, man. And the power struggle is, from what I hear, Chris Greer signed off on every player and every move that Flores wanted to make. So somebody got to say, yo, we can't get rid of a player like Minka Fitzpatrick. It got to be him or you. I mean, we can't just make these moves because these type of players establish our culture. So I'm not sure what you're trying to do. You're looking for
you know where he learned this? He learned this from the Jizza, Bill Belichick, when he traded Lloyd Malloy in his Pro Bowl year to Buffalo. That's where he learned that mentality. So when he applies it, I mean, don't take it the wrong way. Back to what you were saying.
He's not Bill Belichick. He's not. He learned some skills.
What I said is that's where he learned it from. You take a Pro Bowl safety and you trade him. The very next year, 6 months after making the Pro Bowl, and the one that's like indoctrinated into your culture, the reason that you got to the Super Bowl, okay? Because it's just a piece, it's a commodity. You know what I'm saying? If you're not in, you're out. So that's where he learned that from, the Jizza, your guy. So back to what you were saying.
Yeah. So we'll see where he pops up. So there's going to be a huge coaching carousel moving around. Well, there is already, and it involved Brian Flores and the Miami Dolphins let their coach go, as did among other teams that we'll get to in a minute. But I wanted to get back to this week in action and make sure we didn't give you a chance to say your goodbyes to Russell Wilson as he walked off the field in the Seahawks uniform, probably for the last time in Arizona, because how do the people feel in Seattle? Do they feel like it was the last time? Did everybody take their picture out on Cairo TV or Como TV so they can make sure they get a chance to see Russell Wilson walk off the field for the final time?
Trepidation, obviously a little bit of anxiety, and an understanding that that's a very real possibility. This NFL is a business, and whatever happens. Hopefully he's still with us next year, but wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't. It's got to be real.
Yeah. Where did they spend the New Year's holiday? Were they in Seattle for the holidays?
I don't recall. I wasn't up on their itinerary in that.
You wasn't
That
informed?
extent, unfortunately.
Okay. All right, just checking. Um, so who the Tennessee Titans, man? Your guy Russell, you guys look you might have a Ryan Tannehill jersey here before too long, huh?
Oh man, somewhere I'll get one. Yeah. I might get an A&M one, or just to be trendy. This depends. When he was a receiver and stuff. Oh, I'm sorry, that struck a nerve. I didn't really expect that comment to strike a nerve that deep. Ryan Tannehill, the receiver over at A&M, just lighting it up, going to AFC Championship games and whatnot. Woo! And this is the way he's flourished after leaving the 305. It's just been, unexpected. So sorry. I didn't mean to cut that deep, Ken.
I didn't even know what to say about the Tennessee Titans because I like Vrabel. I like the leadership.
Another Jizza disciple, sure.
Yeah, no. He just played in New England. He didn't coach for New England.
So he didn't absorb anything from what the Jizza was saying.
No, he did.
Oh,
firsthand.
I can't see how he couldn't. I mean, being in that culture.
So the Tennessee Titans claimed the number one spot in the AFC behind Ryan Tannehill, who'd been a quarterback all season long.
Mm-hmm.
With Derrick Henry going down, being injured for the last 5-6 games?
Oh, like 10.
How is it? Who deserves the credit for making this happen? Is it the Vrabel and his coaching and scheme? Ryan
Tannehill deserves all the credit. What are you talking about? He's held this team together without a running game. And Cam, what do we always talk about? What's a quarterback's best friend?
But he's had this running back the last few weeks. So
Cam, what's a quarterback's best friend?
Oh, a running game.
A strong running game, yeah. And he had the strongest King Henry running behind him. Somehow he managed to adapt and adjust without King Henry behind him. So, and Julio Jones not being that much of a factor as they thought he was going to be. So, I mean, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to say what's going on. Hey, Ken, quick, brief moment, man. Be right back. Oh. Hey.
Crazy fans.
So sorry, that was Steve Nelson just trying to see if I was get my point across about the Dolphins. I digress. Please continue with what you were saying about Ryan.
You should have put him on the phone so we can get some clarification. Ryan Tannehill, man, is
he hurts you. He really sticks in your jaw, huh? Because you don't think he's nothing, but he just keeps doing stuff, right? He just keeps having success since he's been able to leave that Dolphin organization. And you just don't understand it because you didn't respect him. You didn't put him in a position to win. And now that he's in a position to win, you don't like it, and you don't want to give him what the credit he deserves.
No, is you're overhyping Ryan Tannehill right now, sir.
How am I overhyping him? He threw for 4,000 yards last year. I think he almost threw for 4,000 yards this year. He's been to an AFC championship. He's been to the playoffs every season he's been in Tennessee. I mean, how am I overhyping him?
He's only had 1 year over 4,000 yards, sir, by the way.
Okay, that was last year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm sorry, he didn't get to over 4,000 yards this year. So sorry, but they are the number one seed in the AFC, right? So sometimes stats are misleading.
Oh, they are. So I'm not sure why the first thing you went to was stats.
No, I'm
Um,
just saying. I was just trying to give you an example of some of the production he's been able to do, but that's neither here nor there. He's been in the playoffs every year he's been in Tennessee, so that's an accomplishment in and of itself. No matter what you feel about him, I'm just saying.
so once he gets in variable system, then he can flourish. Is what you're telling me? It took the right system to make him flourish.
I just think that he was in the wrong system previously that weren't accentuating his strengths. And once he got with a coach that had Jizza training and understood kind of how to mold and indoctrinate people into a successful environment, he was been able to do some things.
Cleveland, what were you surprised by most over this past weekend in NFL football?
Oh, without question, it was the Indianapolis Colts. Once I realized that they had to win that game to get into the playoffs and didn't, against a team that not only did they lose that game, they lost that game and still have the number one pick of the draft. That's just how bad they are. That's just inexcusable. I understand why Frank Reich still has his job. I mean, what's going on over there?
You're throwing slings at Frank Reich?
For sure. I mean, how does he still have his job? And all he did is win one of the last two games to make the playoffs. And one of them was against a team so bad that they won the game against you and still have the number one pick in the draft.
Wow,
Nobody's holding him accountable for this type of debacle, man.
Oh wow, he said he's questioning Frank Reich and his coaching abilities.
There's some other 9-8 teams out there I'm gonna question a little bit later, but we'll get to that.
They were just in the playoffs last year, bro. He's been in the playoffs the last 2 of the last 4 years. I mean, what are you talking about?
They only had to win one of the last two games.
Right.
One of them against the worst team in the NFL, and were not able to do so. As a matter of fact,
it was ugly, bad look, ugly, terrible look. First year with Wentz in the under pocket.
So then what? So then what are we? What's your question?
I don't know if that's. I don't. I mean,
that's not worthy of getting fired when you only have to win
3 or 4
games.
3 seasons out of the last.
The other one
3 seasons out of the last 4
that has such a bad record that they beat you and still have the number one pick in the draft.
If 3 out of the last 4 seasons you have a winning record, you've been in the playoffs 2 out of the last 4 seasons. No.
Oh, okay. Well,
no.
Whatever your criteria is, yeah, whatever.
No, what do you? I mean, I'm just saying. I understand it's a bad look, terrible look. I'm not giving them any credit for. I mean, they choked.
But no,
they choked.
He's still perfectly safe. Sure.
Yeah. I'm not firing him for his production alone. I mean, and we got the quarterback. The only way this quarterback performs is with this dude coaching him. No. He gets another year to see what happens. Now that he has his quarterback.
Okay.
But I expect you to talk about the game that happened in Oakland Las Vegas over the last weekend. When the Chargers went to Las Vegas. And was that a choke job? Did they choke? Did they get beat?
I expect you to talk about it, and I will just pontificate on what it is that you're saying.
What do you want me to say?
Go ahead, Don. Go ahead.
I mean, I can say that Staley has done overall a good job of establishing some sense of culture. The players have a sense of a future with these guys and a positive future. Staley,
that's sweet. Aww.
Staley clearly
that is cute. And I'm sorry, why do you feel that way? Because it's a good guy.
Listen, Staley clearly
communicates well with the players.
Staley clearly has had
They buy in.
some mistakes. They do buy in, yeah, but
Okay.
he clearly has made some
And,
mistakes.
and he backs his players with those gutsy calls in critical situations, right?
So I don't have a problem with the
Well, you
calls
should
on the
have a
fourth
problem
down.
because they're
Listen,
9-8. They didn't make the playoffs. But please continue with what you're saying.
a couple calls here, a couple calls there, they get in. He said he said from the start of the season, I'm gonna give it to my best player. When it comes down to it, my best player is gonna have the ball with a chance to make the decision. He said that from jump. Okay, he showed us earlier in the season that he's gonna actually put the ball in the quarterback's hand. He's gonna go for it more often than not. He actually started a little trend in the NFL of players, coaches go for it more often on the fourth down conversions and the 2-point conversions. He did it at the unopportune time. So I got to figure out a way to ask the general manager tomorrow. It's like, did you talk to him about this? Was this the plan going into the season? Like, help clarify, like, what you thought when you saw him go for the fourth down, 3 different times against the Kansas City Chiefs in the first half. Talk to me about that. I got to figure out a way to approach that. Just kind of, I'm interested to know. But he does that against the Kansas City Chiefs in a big spot, Thursday night football, I think it was. I'm sure it was, actually. It's like, okay, you didn't convert it. It's a bad call. No, I don't remember how you felt when Kobe Bryant he shot those 3 air balls against the Utah Jazz in the playoffs. I don't remember how you felt. I know I was in Virginia at the time, and like this is my thoughts on that situation was at least he was the only one willing to shoot, and clearly he showed us throughout his career that he's going to take a shot. There ain't no question about that. Um, okay, Brandon, if that's your philosophy, you can't come back the next week and then kick field goals against the Houston Texans. Like, go balls out. You didn't. You only lost a chance to control your division last week. You should need to ride out with this philosophy. He came back the next week and kicked field goals. Jeff, you don't know if you recall that, but one field goal, um, 2 field goals, then scored a touchdown, then tried to go for 2, and didn't get the 2-point conversion. So now the scores is all messed up. So I think that was a learning situation for him at that time when he second guessed himself. And my thing was, man, go for it. But overall, these Chargers, man, they were inconsistent. They had a lot of turnovers, or excuse me, not a lot of turnovers, a lot of penalties, like more penalties, critical penalties to impact their game-winning situations than not. That I noticed in a lot of seasons, and I mean that's where it stays. That's what it is. Like you say, they're 9-8 out of the playoffs. It is a winning record. They won. We have seen the development of Justin Herbert. Like I don't know if you watched the game, but you see him come back in the fourth quarter, down 13 points. How he comes back and ties it up. That last quarter drive, those 6 fourth down conversions. Yeah, I know you did see that, right? However, they lost, man. They're out this season. Had a conversation with the head coach today. Talked about some of the things. Have a conversation with the GM tomorrow. What do you got to say? What did you see about these charges? And you didn't want to talk about them for the last 4 weeks. You want to skip right over them. Now let's hear what you got to say.
Oh, Cam, it's my turn.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh. Well, fans, followers of the show, let me set the stage when this whole thing really transpired and kind of where my feelings are with things. It was August. We were doing one of our shows, and you know, Cam kind of has a wandering eye a little bit, right? You know, he's been very loyal to the Dolphins through all of these years, this decade that we've been doing this show. Always being a fierce, loyal supporter and fan of the Miami Dolphins. But Cam kind of gets this call to kind of like, hey, why don't you come down to SoFi, kind of, hang out with us a little bit, kind of, get to know us a little bit and, kind of what we're doing, what we're building around here. And Cam was like, oh, word? I get to be around SoFi and all you got, oh, for real? Okay, I mean, kind of, in the, schmoozing with these guys. He's like, okay, it's kind of cool. Yeah, I like this. Like these Chargers, man. I like this culture. I like the philosophy. I like what Coach Staley is trying to bring to the team, and how he's different than those other coaches, building a culture, and everybody's buying in. And man, I think this team is special. I think this team is special. However, fans, like I'm saying, he was originally committed to the team from the 305, but after that team from the 305 got off to the 1-3 start, and the other team got off to the 3-1 start, he was like, "Hey, man, 305, Tom Nelson, I just don't think it's gonna work no more. I see what's going on over here on the other coast, man. I just feel more appreciated here. I feel just like this breath of fresh air, man. Like this is going places, and I just don't think we're gonna work out.
Man. This is a good story.
I just don't think we're gonna work out. Don't buy this. Man. Don't buy this. So man. I'm so sorry about it, man. Here's my 305 Dolphin pass. Took it off, threw it back at the Dolphins fans. It was kind of rude, to be quite honest with you, the way he did it, right? Because it was just going so well over there in Los Angeles. And when Coach Staley came to the podium, he just had such a presence and just what he was trying to convey to everybody, and they were buying in, and it was fantastic. Meanwhile, the Dolphins were just struggling. I mean, a little bit, not only with their self-confidence, but just with the fact that they just didn't have the support that they thought that they had from some people that had been around for decades, right? 3 decades supporting the Dolphins. All of a sudden, oh, wow, Justin Herbert's enough to just make you just jump off and just cut out. Oh, and so it just kind of went like that, 1-7, and then finally, Coach Flores was the one that brought him all in and said, "Hey, man, we can just keep on, falling down this abyss, and we can pull ourselves together and show the world what we're made of." Went on a 7-game winning streak. During that time, the Los Angeles Chargers were quite up and down, but as it came towards the end. They just had a few games to win. One of them being against the Las Vegas Raiders, which went to overtime in an extremely dramatic fashion. But hey, hold up, man. One of these losses was to the Houston Texans, man. A game you just simply don't win if you've indoctrinated all of this culture and all of this, goodwill, and everybody is, playing for one another. And, I just don't understand how you lose a game like that. And then I will give the Chargers some credit. They were getting browbeaten by the Raiders, came back off the rope, threw a couple haymakers, bam, bam, they're right back in this. Get to overtime, and again, is it coaching? Is it scheme? Is it the environment? I'm not really quite sure. At the end of the day, fans, the Los Angeles Chargers had the exact same record as the team Cam left them. 9-8. 9-8. Why isn't Brandon Staley on the hot seat? Because he's developed this winning culture that everybody is buying and into and breeding this success. They're 9-8. They didn't make the playoffs. You don't have the same criticism for your Los Angeles Chargers when they lose to the Broncos, when they lose to the Texans, when they lose to the Raiders, when they lose to the Ravens. You don't have that same disdain in your voice as when the Miami Dolphins do it. It's weird. You have no idea where this team is going.
We gotta see if we get Jim Caldwell, so we can.
Now it's the offensive coordinator's fault.
Oh
now
man,
it's Lombardi's fault.
No. I'm talking about. No, I'm not blaming nothing about the Chargers. The Chargers will be back. The Chargers, they took some lickings. They had to take some growing.
The Chargers gonna be back. I mean, what gives you this confidence? Is it the culture? Is it the coach?
I got.
I know you're around them a lot. Maybe that's the problem. You weren't around the Dolphins enough to, even though in your heart and your spirit was there. But is that what it was? It's the exact same record.
No, and it feels different, doesn't it? It doesn't.
No, it doesn't feel any different. 9-8 feels like 9-8 to every team that's 9-8 that doesn't make the playoffs. Why does it feel so much different to you? That's what I'm saying. You have like this different feel, like this 9-8 is different than this 9-8. No, they're both 9-8.
And teams are on two different trajectories. One's going up and one's going down. That's why they feel different. Was 9-8 a disappointment for the Dolphins? Mr. Steve Nelson, buddy? Was 9-8 a different?
I don't think so, given the injuries and the way that everyone jumped off the bandwagon and kind of the upheaval that was going on within the front office. No, I don't think so. Do you feel good about your 9-8 Los Angeles Chargers poster boy?
Dude, I covered the Chargers, man. Don't get it twisted.
No,
man.
you didn't cover them. No, man. Don't act like you just covered them like just some idle curiosity kind of guy. No, man. You bought in 100%. You bought in 117%. Trying to convince me, I was like, okay. No.
Fans, we're gonna. I don't know how Cleveland is. He's tickled pink over there that the Chargers didn't make it, and we're gonna see. I mean, I expect Brandon Staley to make a turnaround. So
I'm not tickled pink. I'm simply saying, given the way that you made your decision to leave the Dolphins to go be with the Chargers, and then they have the exact same record. It's the irony of it all. That's all I'm saying. You thought you were upgrading, right? You thought you were getting to the playoff and doing something you hadn't done in a while, right? And that just didn't happen. And now you just have a bunch of excuses and explanations for me as to why it didn't happen, none of which make any sense to me, given this incredible culture that is being built over there by Coach Staley and all the talent that they have, and how Justin Herbert is a generational talent. Got Bosa and Derwin James and
that's another.
Pound for pound, one of the strongest guys in the league, and Austin Eckler. And what's about your left tackle? He's the next who?
Listen to
Walter Jones.
He didn't like that. He didn't like that. He didn't like the comparison. Again, the kid got a whole career to play. The team will be back. They do have
Justin Herbert.
Stop it, man.
So does Jalen Waddle.
Stop it. Well, we're gonna have a new coach.
Set the rookie record. Hey man.
He said, what was the average per catch though?
So here's what I'm saying, Cam. You can't really justify the move that you made because the results were, static. They were the same.
But I didn't really jump
Both
ship
teams
like
didn't
you.
make the playoffs, and both teams were 9-8. So you did not upgrade.
But I didn't never try to jump ship.
Oh no, you jumped ship. You
Like
jumped right off.
like you're over here describing. That was a cute story you had right there. But it was I never jumped ship like that. That
That's
was
not what happened. Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, that was a
fans,
real
go back to some of those earlier shows
that was a
when
real
Cam
cute
really
statement.
lets
That
off
was
his
a real cute
frustration
story you told right
when he
there.
was making it public what he was doing. With the move, it wasn't so much just secret text messages and whatnot. It was holding hands in public, and this is what ultimately ended up happening. So,
Yeah. This guy got a colorful imagination, fan. So we had the Lions beat the Packers. Did that mean anything to you this season?
no, everybody was
This.
sitting. Didn't mean anything.
So what's the best job out there? The Dolphins, Vikings, Bears, Giants, Texans, Raiders, Broncos. All these guys is looking for a new head coach. I mean, some think the Raiders they should just resign Bishotti and keep him in a couple of years. What do you think?
I think of all the aforementioned teams, I think probably the Broncos have the most talent. So if it was just a talent situation, um, that would probably be the better job. There is some questions as far as ownership going forward, so maybe not the best situation from that regard. I think the Jacksonville owner is willing to do whatever it takes to kind of have some semblance of success. So you might have more resources there and more autonomy with regards to what it is what you want to do. So far as you don't take it, to the lengths that Urban Meyer did, um, probably have a little bit more latitude there. And again, the number one pick after the number one pick, so that might be the best job, just given the resources and the draft capital that you have.
Speaking of number one pick, who do you go for? You go from one of the defensive linemen from Georgia. You go for a running back, a receiver. Oh no, they drafted a running back last year. You go for another receiver.
Jacksonville drafted Trevor Lawrence last year, so
I mean, and they drafted the ATN though last year. Is what I was saying.
oh, for sure, I got you. You would probably have to go with Robinson or an offensive lineman, unless you wanted to go Aiden Hutchinson. I know he's a tough guy, so
It'd be interesting to see which direction they go. I think the best job, obviously, is going to be the Miami Dolphins.
oh man, no, they didn't turn your phone off. I mean, you can't come back with roses in your hand and the heart shaped chocolate box. Yeah, yeah.
This guy is clowning. This guy is clowning.
Now,
No,
so fans, yeah. He's barred from talking about the Dolphins for the rest of the season. Don't worry about what the Dolphins is doing. Worry about what the Chargers is doing. Okay.
This is funny how this guy now all of a sudden he's a protector of the Dolphins. You the cock blocker now.
No, hey man, I'm just saying. I mean, the way you profess your feelings for the Chargers. I mean, don't come back to the Dolphins trying to sweet talk and be cool. I mean, it's over.
So looking at this last week and kind of think how things transpired. Oh shit! I shorted myself actually. If you look at the script, I gave you a point for New England winning. New England got beat by the Dolphins, but I gave you an extra point right there. We both had KC, both had Dallas. We had the Browns. We had the Bengals beating the Browns, but the Browns won that game. We had the Lions beating the Packers. Excuse me, we had the Packers beating the Lions. The Lions ended up winning that game. Minnesota, we picked. The football team we picked. We talked about Indy losing to the Colts. You had Pittsburgh over Baltimore. What gave you confidence that Big Ben could finish that off?
Well, Coach Mike Tomlin, you know what I'm saying? The
Oh,
coach that
boy.
he's been able to develop over there over the last decade and a half, 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 Super Bowl, victory. The way he just
Did
able
he
to,
develop that culture, or
the
did he
way
fall
he's
into
able
that
to
culture?
replace talent like Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell and others, man, and just continue to win and have success. Entitled, it's amazing. But that's kind of what kind of gave me, that idea is that he was just going to have him pumped up and ready to play.
We both had Tennessee winning. And Atlanta and the Falcons, who won that game? That's another.
The Falcons and the
Saints.
Saints. Yeah. Saints won that game.
So that's another point that we need to correct right there, sir. So we do these corrections on the fly. If you see it, you got the script up?
Sure, man. No, man. Go ahead and do how you do, man.
I mean, what do you mean? Do you see the two right there?
Man, I'm not seeing this right. Do how you do it and then tell me how it ends up at the end. What we got going, man?
I mean, it might end up the same way, to be honest with you, but for this week right here, we had Atlanta, right? What did I say?
Atlanta losing to the Saints.
Okay, I don't know why I correct. It's already correct over here. That's weird. It's already correct on the side. So I gotta do this real quick. I did this to the wrong one though. Let's see what I did. It doesn't change. It doesn't change much actually.
So I still won there.
I didn't say that, sir. That's weird. This one's correct. I corrected it here, but I didn't correct it there. Like, why would I do that? I didn't attach the right one. So, okay, fans, as we reveal our pick winner for the year, for the season, we make all these picks, and okay, here we go. I'm sorry, fans. All right, I made that correction here. Sorry, you can't see this, but you're gonna have to take my word for it. But it's documented. Have your forensic specialist write over it if they want. So yeah, so our picks for the season. So we ended up tying, going 9 for 9 this week. Picks against the spread, you didn't get any right.
What?
Yeah. I got one correct. However, you still won that segment 63% to 44%, like 34 to 24. Real butt whooping right there. The picks, overall pick segment for the season, Cleveland will be surprised to know that he pulled that one out. The picks against the spread in our regular picks all season, he pulled that one out by 3 funky games.
Why would I be surprised about that, Cam? That's what I do.
3 games, dog.
Sorry. I wouldn't be surprised by that. Yeah.
3 games, dog. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
you're surprised by that.
No, not really.
181 correct to 178 correct.
Mm-hmm.
66%, 66.1 to 65% picks correct on the season.
That's what I do, fans. Young
Uh,
Sam Rothstein is what they call me. So
oh my goodness, this guy. Our overall picks for the year, our confidence picks. I won that one convincingly, 180 or 85%, 85.4 or 80.4, excuse me, to 75.9.
which is
Two,
weird. I don't really understand that. And again, I'm going to have Ernst and Young, my accounting firm, come and do some auditing of your books on that one because I don't understand how that went wrong. But two out of three. Given kind of the environment that we're in. You know, everybody says when you go to Vegas, you got to knock the champ out, right? So I mean, it's very simple, very similar.
yeah, knock the champ out. All right, man. Let's take a
So
little break.
hopefully fans, what I have been proposing is that as we do this going forward, that maybe as this ticker kind of goes forward, we can also kind of see where we're at, the standings. Just a thought, a suggestion going forward.
Okay.
So everyone is kind of up to date and abreast of how we're doing things.
We might be able to work something like that out, or get our file up here live for the fans to see somehow. Um, all right, let's take a little quick break here, man. We'll come back. We're gonna talk about the NBA. We'll talk about the NBA action. A lot of things happen. As in, Dirk gets his jersey retired. What Steph had to say about the Warriors and the '96 Bulls. Kyrie and Clay come back. What did you see? What did you like? And then obviously we want to talk about Ja Morant and his impact on the NBA right now. So let's take a little quick break. You good or
Good to go.
all right, Cleveland? Segment 2, NBA action. Ja Morant. Why do you think he's the Memphis Grizzlies? Obviously, he's a big part of why the Memphis Grizzlies have taken off like they have. But why is it just now that they're catching wildfire like right now?
I don't know if there's any necessarily a reason that they're at this particular point that they are. I think that they're just playing well together. They're understanding what each other does well, and Ja is just taking his game to a next level. So,
What do you think about the Ja Morant D Rose comparison?
not fair to Ja Morant.
Not fair. So there's no comparison to what you're saying.
I didn't say there wasn't any comparison. I certainly understand the reasons for it, the athleticism, the ball handling, and just kind of what they're able to do. But I don't think that Ja Morant is as good as Derrick Rose was when he was healthy and really engaged.
This is the third year for Ja Morant, the same year that D Rose won the MVP at this point. But my question is like, whose game would you prefer, D Rose or Ja Morant?
I prefer a healthy Derrick Rose's game over Ja Morant. Ja Morant's game is very predicated on just his athletic ability. Um, and I don't really feel that he's the same type of point guard that Derrick Rose was. They both have that same athletic explosiveness, and they both have the ability to make knockdown shots, man. Um, but and perhaps I'm just being uh,
Nostalgic.
nostalgic, but I certainly do remember that Derrick Rose, Ben Gordon backcourt that was putting the fear of God in everyone. And I remember it being just because Derrick Rose was just so explosive from anywhere on the court, but also his ability to keep the team together. Didn't hurt that they had Joakim Noah on some of those teams as well, which cleans up everything. But Ja is definitely in the last 10 to 15 games taking that next step since coming back from injury. Put two of my Lakers, man, in embarrassing fashion. LeBron tried to battle him that first time with the 41, and had a few more, a few less this second loss, but you didn't have anything for him, man.
Ja Morant's been absolutely spectacular for the Memphis Grizzlies over these last stretch of games. But this team, not only has he been good, and I want to speak to the leadership that Taylor Jenkins has shown, even though he went out with COVID here recently. Um, this team has played good basketball, and it seems that he's left contingency plans for him not being there, for Job not being there, for Jaren Jackson not being there, for which rotations to use, who plays best for his assistant coaches to follow by. So clearly, Taylor Jenkins has built a culture, keyword for the night, down there in Memphis that they were winning without Ja Morant. If you remember, I think they were at one point they were 6-2 without him, and only to have him back. That shows the other guys learned that hey, we can play this game too with or without you. So we'd love to have you. Let's get out here and run. And so they're doing good things. Obviously playing great defense, um, and then getting out there and running the floor. They got Jared Jackson, Brandon Clark is showing some promise here recently. So they're doing fantastic things, and um, Ja Morant just makes it look good because it's all now coming together. Um, Kyrie, Clay came back last week. Kyrie's been back actually a week now. We saw Clay back on Sunday. Who has? I mean, I don't know that Golden State just lost to Memphis the other night, so or I don't know that you could say Clay has been impactful, but who have you seen be most impactful, or which what's it called debut was most impactful?
Clay's debut is most impactful because his absence has been the injury and not been because he doesn't want to get vaccinated. And so there's a lot more question with regards to what he would have to, what he would be able to show, uh, you know, given his recovery. So definitely more on the Clay side than the Kyrie side.
Um, did you see the Clippers amount a 20-point comeback against the Denver Nuggets last
No, I
night?
didn't see that.
Reggie Jackson dunk over Nokic
No,
or Jokic.
I missed it. Good win for them.
Wow.
They're probably 500 or so, or a little under.
Yeah, right around 500.
Okay,
Right around, just hovering around that non-playoff seat
cool.
or non-playoff tournament seat. Um, Steph Curry says his 2017 Warriors will beat the Bulls in six. The 96 Bulls, that is. What do you think?
I would understand how he kind of would feel that way if Kevin Durant was still on the team, and I might even kind of lean that way. But this current 2022 roster, no.
No, they talk about the 2017 Warriors
Oh,
with Kevin Durant.
he's talking about he's talking about 73 and 9 team, not the team after KD came over.
No, I think the question was posed with KD on the team.
Oh, with KD on the team. It's an interesting point. Now that you're saying that team, when I was first hearing the question, I thought that you were actually proposing that like this team would be able to do that.
Could Curry get his shot off against Michael Jordan? Like that would be one thing it would come down to him running around and.
No, I think it would come down to who would be able to guard Kevin Durant, and I don't think that Scottie Pippen would be up for that task. And I do think that Draymond Green would be able to guard Scottie Pippen.
Do you really?
And I think that Clay would make it difficult for MJ. And whoever is playing point guard is going to get worn out.
Wow. Wow, you got a different vision of that. How I see that game going. Um, I I think the game will come down to could Jordan defend Steph, and or could
Why would the
Steph
game
defend
ever come
Jordan?
down to that? And no, I don't think that Jordan can defend to the the range that Steph Curry has. He never had to do that before. It would be an uncharted territory for him.
Until they were down 0-1. Until they were down 0-1, and
Interesting
then
game, interesting matchups.
yeah, it would be interesting to see. It would be interesting to see.
I wish the NBA had a version of Madden. I don't know. I don't know who would
NBA
orchestrate
2K,
that, but
NBA 2K. Um, did you talk about Dirk's best memory last week?
I did. I talked about when he was able to exercise his demons in 2011 and win that championship after missing the free throws in 2006 to the same team.
The year before, yeah, okay. Cavs they promote their general manager Kobe Altman. He gets promoted to president of basketball operations for the Cleveland Cavaliers, which is pretty crazy. And without um, Damian Lillard in the lineup, Anthony Simons is taking advantage of his opportunities. Man, have you watched the Portland Trailblazers at all?
He has been throwing up some really crazy numbers, man, and it's like, wow, is this all just been about opportunity presenting itself and you just taking advantage of it? Or have the Portland Trailblazers just been sitting on this commodity that they could have used to do some really big things and like have just been absent-minded about it? So it's kind of a you know ebb and flow with how I feel about it. But kudos to him for taking advantage of his opportunity and making the most of it.
Yeah, like you say, kudos to him for taking advantage of his opportunities. That's absolutely right. Our picks haven't changed, or our supremacy rankings in the NBA have not changed very much. In fact, excuse me, they have. I got the Warriors, Bulls, Suns, Grizzlies, and Nets. Grizzlies cracked my top five this week. They didn't crack my top five last week. So I got the Warriors, Bulls, Suns, Grizzlies, Nets. Cleveland, you have the Warriors, the Suns, Memphis, Utah, and the Bulls. No Nets? What kind of listen? How can you have the top five list in the NBA and you don't have Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden? This list is flawed. And we
How is it
in week
flawed?
two in week 174,
It
people.
reflects what the Brooklyn Nets record indicates.
What do you mean it reflects what their record indicates? What are you talking about?
They're not one of the top five teams in the league right now.
Cleveland, this list is flawed, man. I tell you to go take it home, take this back
The
home, and
Golden
come back
State
tomorrow.
Warriors. We agree on that, right?
Come back with a
Okay.
better
The
list
Phoenix
tomorrow.
Suns. We agree on that, right?
That's what I feel like telling you about. That's what I feel like telling you right now. Do we agree that Phoenix Suns deserve to be number two? No, I have the Bulls number two. You got the Bulls at number five, although they've been on like a 7-1 winning streak recently.
It's regular season win streaks. I mean, you're asking me about who's the better teams, given what they've been able to do. I mean, the Bulls haven't,
They haven't won in the playoffs.
I was going to make an analogy, but then I remembered how badly you talked about, your previous, team, the Miami Dolphins, and strength of schedule. But it's a little bit different in the NBA than it is in the NFL because there's only 17 games. But the Bulls have been beating who's on their schedule, and that's great. They got good chemistry, but I don't really feel they're one of the top five teams in rather. Five.
Well, you have them five, but the Nets, come on, man, blasphemous right here, blasphemous.
Well, until they get their act together, until they have a cohesive team that plays all at the same time, just not on the road. I mean, on the road, I might feel different.
Oh, now we need that road stats and home stats, home and road records.
They are the best team on the road. You know that, right?
I mean, they're going to
For
be
obvious
NBA
reasons,
champions.
right?
Okay. Cleveland, let's move on, man. Let's talk about this week in history. 1971, 2000 or 1971, January 12th, Congress Black Caucus was organized. The Congressional Black Caucus was organized in January 12th, 1971. In January 12th, 1995, the OJ trial began in Santa Monica, actually, but obviously everybody saw it from where it was. January 12th, 1993, Mario Lemieux announces that he has been diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. I didn't know that. I never heard. I don't remember hearing that. Did you?
Yeah, take 2 years off.
Um, January 12th, 2000. Excuse me. January 12th, 2020. ATP Cup men's tennis players Sydney Novak Djokovic and Victor Tricicki. They beat Spanish players Pablo Correa Busta and Feliciano Lopez to win the inaugural title for Serbia, the men's tennis team. And now Djokovic is stuck in Australia. What you think about that?
So it sounds like they won the Davis Cup back in that 2020 that you were talking about. With regards to him not being able to play and then being able to play, I think it's corny. But at the same time, he does have 10 Australian Open titles, so probably
Is
just
it
a little bit of leeway with regards to leniency, I should say, with regards to that. They were trying to play hardball earlier. Sounds like they kind of softened their stance, and we'll see how it goes.
does he deserve a special exemption? You think?
Yeah.
So they just trying to. Is this a money play?
No, I think it's more just political grandstanding. Like I said, he's won the the Australian Open 10 times. So, and last year he won 3 of the 4 Grand Slam titles. So, and he has the most. He's tied for the most Grand Slam titles in the history of tennis. So, yeah, I think he deserves an exemption.
Interesting. Okay. On Monday night, we saw Georgia beat up on Alabama for their national championship. Did you watch that game? And what are your thoughts on Georgia dominating Alabama?
I did watch that game. I don't think that Georgia dominated that game. I think that they were able to hang around long enough, and I think that Alabama was playing with their food, not executing
Oh
and
my
taking care of
goodness!
business
Oh my
in the red
goodness!
zone the way they were supposed to.
Oh my
They had some
goodness!
injuries pop up, and then once you allow a team to kind of hang around, opportunity presents itself, like we said earlier in the show, Cam, and they were able to seize the time. Carpe diem.
So you're gonna blame? Oh my goodness! You're going to the injury factor, and they were playing with their food. Did you just say they were playing with their food?
Yeah. Bama was dominating that game, and when they got into the red zone and you know time to you know kill their opponent, they just didn't. They just didn't put their foot on the neck.
Wow, that's crazy. Um, I didn't see it like that at all. I thought Georgia played a good game, a tough physical game that they played, and they slowed down the Heisman Trophy winner. That's what I saw. Yeah, I didn't see it was Alabama playing around with them. Alabama couldn't do much with them. So kudos to Georgia for winning that game, and Good thing I didn't. I was going to Vegas to. I was in Vegas this past weekend, and I almost stopped at the sports book to put money. I was gonna put $100 on Bama and the points, and that'd have been money gone. So, um, kudos to me for not doing that. Mario, we got Mario Barrios taking on Keith Thurman February 5th for a chance at a. This is a eliminator fight. I think the winner of this fight gets a chance at the title fight. Who you got in this fight?
Barrios, yeah, Keith Thurman. I as I mentioned before, I saw him in his last fight, and yeah, man, no, he's not the same. He's not the same guy. He's all into his romance and being a good husband. Man, does not make a good champion.
You said that, okay. Um, what's your thoughts on the transfer portal and the now that we've had a season of NIL deals? What's your thoughts on the NIL deals? Did you know that Alabama's quarterback Bryce Young made more money at Alabama than the Eagles quarterback made playing quarterback for the Eagles? Why am I having a brain fart? Hurry, Jalen
Jalen
Hurts.
Hurts, yeah. No, I didn't know that. That's an interesting little statistic. Um, I feel much better about the NIL than I do with the transfer portal. I feel like the transfer portal at first I thought it was giving players kind of an opportunity to kind of get out of adverse situations, but now I feel like it's just giving them an opportunity to kind of follow their feelings and emotions with regards to kind of whatever the situation you know maybe at the time, but not really holding them accountable to kind of their commitment. They don't have to stay committed to anything. So for example, Oklahoma, their star quarterback and tight end, both in the transfer portal after the star quarterback from the last year into the transfer portal. So it almost seems like these college programs are, they just have perpetual free agents that they don't know whether they're going to leave or go. No one's commitment is, valid because they can always just go.
Yeah, it's it's pretty wild. I don't like that part as well. The transfer portal, NIL deals. Um, it's only the most popular player getting paid. So the impact hasn't been as robust as people may have initially thought. And the transfer portals, yeah, I feel it's not quitting, but it's kind of giving up on this particular squad. And in life, you can't just jump in the transfer portal when things aren't going your way. Sometimes you need to stick through it and go through the fires and come out the other end. You know what I'm saying? Instead of somebody promising you the starting role and you get it, you gotta go earn that starting role. You follow what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And, just because you find, a little bit of adversity doesn't mean you just have to go and jump to the next school that, is not in that same situation. Will they say like 7 players in the transfer portal from Alabama? I mean, they lost 2 games all year. I mean, where are you going to go to have a better opportunity? But, you know, players all of a sudden don't want to be stacked behind each other, 3 and 4 players deep like they, have been in the past. So,
Right. Yeah, that does take a special player. So that's all. That's interesting. Any questions for Tom Telesco tomorrow? Anything you want me to write down that you want? We have a little video conference with him tomorrow. Any questions you want to address?
yeah, how do you justify the debacle of the season, and where do you go from here?
We'll see if we can get that one answer for you, man. uh, which NFL teams have the most pressure on them going into these playoffs? We got the Raiders, Bengals, Patriots, Bills, Eagles, Bucks, Niners, Cowboys, Steelers, Giants. Excuse me, Cardinals and Rams, and then
Steelers
obviously,
Chiefs, you mean, right?
what did I say?
Said Giants.
Steelers, Chiefs, yeah.
The Bills
And
have the most pressure on them.
the Bills have the most pressure. because there are nobody else who's talking. I guess Tampa Bay, but nobody else who's talking Super Bowl for a lot of these teams. They were hoping obviously, but they were really high on them. So we agree Cincinnati, we agree New England, we agree Tampa Bay. You have San Francisco over Dallas. Why do you have San Francisco over Dallas?
Debo Samuel is healthy, and the Dallas Cowboys have not looked that stellar the last 4 weeks.
Interesting. Um, we agree on KC over the Steelers, and I have the Rams. Oh, excuse me. I have the Cardinals beating the Rams. You have the Rams beating the Cardinals. That's surprising. What do you see there?
Aaron Donald and Von Miller hurting Kyler Murray's little shoulder up again.
Oh, hurting his little shoulder up again. See how you do that? That's disrespectful. Fans, we talked about the confidence picks. Cameron dominated this segment this year, 80% to he had 70 something percent.
75, like I said earlier. I don't know how dominant that is, but sure.
Hey, you didn't interrupt that. Um, okay, fans, let's just one more before the playoffs kick off. One more recap of our NFL, our playoff prediction from the beginning of the season. At the beginning of the season, Cleveland had the Washington football team, the Seattle Seahawks, the Chicago Bears, and the Carolina Panthers in the playoffs. So actually, one, two, three of these 17 made it that you mentioned: Packers, Bills, or Packers, Bucks, and Niners. That's in the NFC. Um, in the AFC, you had the Browns, the Colts. Those are the only two teams that you had that did not make it to the AFC. You had the Bills. No, the Browns and the Ravens, excuse me, and the Colts. There's three teams that you had make the playoffs that did not make the playoffs. The Bills, Ravens, Browns, Titans, Chiefs, Colts, and Steelers. Steelers did sneak in the playoffs. Look at you. That's a good living right. In the AFC, I had the Chiefs, Browns, Titans, Bills, Ravens, Steelers, and Chargers.
So you also had 4 teams that didn't make the
One, two,
playoffs.
three, four teams that did not make the AFC.
Okay. So you were
Playoffs.
3 for 7. Okay. Next division.
The NFC playoffs, I had Buccaneers, Vikings, Packers, Rams, 49ers, Washington football team, and the Seahawks.
4 or 7. So we just flip flop divisions going 4 and 3 with our picks. 4 for 7 and 3 for 7.
Something like that.
Yeah, we'll call that a push. That's what they call it in Vegas.
That's what they call it in Vegas. All right, fans. I want to thank Cleveland for his time. Thank you guys. Thanks for being a part of the show. Fans, we don't know where the season's gonna go, but we don't know what's gonna happen in the off season, I should say. But we're gonna be here to talk about it each and every week. We got coaches. The coaching circle is gonna be going on. We got the playoffs starting this weekend. So we got playoff football Cleveland for the next 4 weeks, man. This is gonna be lovely. Um, Want to end you with this quote from the great John Madden, by the way. Don't be worried about the horse being blind. Just load the wagon. All right. Don't worry about so much about the details. Just start doing what we need to get done, and we'll worry about figuring the details out later. What's that saying to you? That's what that says to me.
Oh man, I mean it's a great quote, man. It means just get out there and do it, man. Get out there and get something.
Yeah, get out there and get some. Is exactly right, Cleveland. Once again, I want to thank you for participating in the show. Fans, as always, if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button right in the bottom right corner. Hit that, mash that like button. So hit the bell so we notify you every time we come live. Once again, thank you for tuning in, Voice of the Fans. This is your man Cam. Be sure to rate and review our show, and thank you, fans, as always, for making our voice your choice.